how I wanted to show up. And that's really where I fell into the modality of human design. And that's something that I'm in particular going to be exploring with you over the course of the following slides. So I hope the next 60 minutes will give you the opportunity to gain an insight into the 3 key tools that Lena and I have pulled together. The 3 key tools involve a number of different strategies, which we have actually proven over and over to help ourselves and others around us, clients, family, friends, etc., gain more clarity and to express their purpose in the world. So I'm going to just dive straight into it. So hopefully the slide that you see at the moment that's on Lena's screen, these are going to be the 3 keys that we're going to be looking at together. So I just want to make sure everybody is on mute.
She's not concerned about the details anymore.
And then there was this guy.
Lena, I don't know if you want to
just gonna miss, yeah.
Thank you. As we're going through this, just to say, if you've got any questions or anything, please just put them into the chat, because at the end we will have a Q&A and we'll be able to go back through and, you know, reference the questions and just help give you some more insight. So if you've got anything you want to ask, doesn't matter what the question is, just please put it into the chat, because we really want to make this session as interactive as possible. So back to the 3 keys. So the 3 keys that you see on the slide, they hold the tools, strategies and techniques to support you in gaining clarity to unlock purpose in all areas of your life experience. So before I begin, I just want to ask you one question. Take a moment to consider, what is my purpose? And what do we actually mean by that question? So just have a think about it for a second. If you want to just maybe tap some things into the chat, please do. And I'll carry on talking and we'll be able to come back to that. So we often think that purpose is something that we do in the world. However, if we've learned anything about ourselves, it's that our desires change over time, and they're meant to do that. Our desires, our being are meant to expand. We're meant to evolve. So now think about the person you are today, the person who looks back at you in the mirror. Is that the same person looking back at you who was looking back at you 10 years ago, 20 years ago? No. Very, very likely different, right? And that's because the person who sits here today is now made up with different sets of life experiences, different stories, different challenges, different things that we have been able to kind of experience through our life journey. So it makes sense that maybe instead of thinking that your purpose is something that you do, that your purpose is who you be. It's how you express yourself in the world. And you're able to do that when you shine your light as brightly as you possibly can. And the only way that you can shine your light brightly is to tap into the gifts, the many, many gifts that you hold within you. And over the course of the next few slides and over the course of this masterclass, we're going to be able to explore your purpose, i.e. who you be in the world, through these particular keys. So the first key is all about strengths, and Lena will be going through strengths with you and we'll be running through an exercise, so do get your pen and paper ready. And strength focuses on self-understanding and how you maximize the strengths that you can identify with. But many people actually aren't always clear on what their strengths are, because they've often borrowed those strengths from other people. Maybe somebody else has told you that you're good at something and you've kind of gone, yeah, that's kind of cool. That feels like something that might be me. But you've never really sat with it and actually explored it at a deep level to really see if it's something you actually do identify with. So strength sits at the root of your identity, and you're able to see the strengths that you put out into the world by how you show up on a day-to-day basis. So the first key is all about strengths. The second key is all about human design, and this is a system I'm particularly passionate about. It's something that Lena and I share in common. I've been studying human design for 6 years, and I've read over 500 different blueprints for 500 different people. And so it's a modality that I just passionately believe in. And if it teaches you nothing else about this particular system today, it will show you how you express your energy, how you can use your gifts to make sure that you're shining your light as brightly as possible. Because when you do that, you gain clarity. When you have clarity, you then show up as who you be in the world. And then the third key is all about alignment. So this is actually where we take all the learnings from the first 2 keys and we integrate everything. And we then kind of almost put all the pieces back together so that you then go away with hopefully something a little bit tangible that you can use on a day-to-day basis. So I will now hand over to Lena, and Lena's going to kick off with strengths.
So guys, before I actually kick over with strength, I'm just trying to get to the next slide. Hold on. Before I kick over with strength, I'm just curious, do you know what your strengths are? Like, what are your natural gifts and talents? Let me know in the chats. I'm just having slightly technical issues. Hold on. Let me just do this. I might just need to stop sharing. Sorry, guys. Let me just quickly do this.
You have no idea how many times we've practiced this and it all worked brilliantly.
Yeah, it's just, I know, it's just, you know, it just sometimes happens. Talking to people. Yeah. So, do you want to just keep an eye on
yeah, talking to people, bringing people together. Thank you, Jackie. Annie, intuition and empathy. So this is on me because I convinced Lana to use camera instead of like normal PowerPoint as we would normally do. Because I was like, no, it's great, it'll work.
Yeah, it's okay. Just give me a second. Yeah, like, you guys just keep on checking
so
with your
see.
strength.
Marina said willpower. Okay. What other strengths do you hold? Do you feel?
Tap also not just into your strength, but also your character traits, right? Because we often disregard the character traits. Like maybe you're somebody who listens to people, maybe you're compassionate, intuitive, resilience, because these are the building blocks. They form our core identity and who we truly are, and we never really think about it. So dig deeper into it. I will be taking you through exercise, but if you just, you know, play with it, consider it, tap into it, it will just make that exercise much more potent.
So Emma's saying energizing others, so coaching, teachings when I feel alive. I'd love to see what your energy imprint, your blueprint is, Emma. Kate's inspiring others, Jennifer strategic, empathetic, connector, Jackie quirky, humorous, adventurous. I love this. Amazing.
Okay, so we're back into strength. Okay, cool. So thank you for sharing this. If, by the way, if I still can't move to the slides, I will just come up with a plan B. So why we are actually asking you this is because understanding your strength is key to finding clarity of your purpose. It shows you not only what you are good at, but also where you can make the biggest impact, right? And when you can then focusing on your strength, you can start really aligning, you can start choosing paths, life paths, opportunities, projects that are fulfilling, that feel authentic, instead of chasing goals and projects that are just not even in alignment with who you truly are. And guys, we spend a lot of time pursuing these opportunities that are not even meant for us because we don't understand our own strengths and our talents. And of course, the real magic happens is when we get to tap into them on a daily basis. Because not only uplifts us, but it also helps us to generate those positive emotions. Like think when you do things that come naturally to you or you're curious about, right? You feel more passionate, more excited, more joyful. And all of these emotions, what do? Emotion is energy in motion, right? So the more positive emotions you cultivate, the more energy you generate. And energy, guys, is your highest currency because everything in this life responds to your energy. Life does not respond to your efforts. It responds to your energy. We are 99.999% energy. I mean, quantum physics shows that to us. And the only reason you even see like solid objects around you because they vibrate at a very low frequency, but everything is energy, right? So the results you experience in your life are a direct reflection of your energy. And I'll make it super practical for you. Think about it by the morning. You wake up in a slump. First thing you do, you check your phone and you're like, oh, my boss sent me this email, there's meetings I've got to do, or whatever, the errands I've got to run. Rather, you wake up like your kids just won't get dressed for school on time. Your partner spills coffee on you, you trip over your cat or a dog, whatever that is. How does the rest of your day unfold? But at the time the day is done, you're probably like with your feet up, with a Netflix, with a bottle of wine, maybe even two. And you're like, what's wrong with this day? Let me know if you've ever had a day like this. I think most of us have, right? And that's not a coincidence because we woke up in a slump. Our energy is low and we started really attracting all of these experiences to reflect our energy. And then think of some other time when you woke up feeling great. You know, you were uplifted because you were, I don't know, doing something exciting. You had the best day ever. So when we then start playing to our strength, when we engage in activities that we connect with, with, that we feel excited and passionate about, that spark our curiosity, our energy levels go up, right? And then what happens, guys? Energy is your awareness, right? It's interchangeable. Energy and consciousness is the same thing. Energy is an input, consciousness is an output. So the higher your energy, the higher your awareness. And why is your awareness important? Well, because you're going to see things from a very different perspective. You're going to be more open to opportunities, to possibilities coming into your life. You're going to be more creative, more engaging, and more present. Awareness is key to finding clarity in your purpose and in everything in life. It's like, you know, the example I love to use. Imagine you're going into like a 10-story building. Right now, you may be on a first floor. I'm not saying you are, but let's say use this analogy. On a first floor, what do you see? You see car park, you see concrete, you see grass, you maybe see people. Then what happens, let's say, if you get on the 5th floor? Will you see more? Will your view expand? You're probably going to be seeing behind the other buildings, right? You're going to be seeing so much more that you haven't seen on the 1st floor. It's the same with your awareness. So that's why playing to your strength is the key to unlocking the clarity, because it increases your awareness by raising your energy. Okay. So the question then I often get asked, well, how do I actually know what my strengths are, right? How do I actually know how to, hold on, I'm getting there. Effie, I'm not going to hold you responsible, but this Canva. So I'm going to take you in a minute.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to take you guys through
Let's
this
lay plans and all
exercise.
of that.
Hold on. As soon as this Canva starts behaving. So what we're going to do now is we're going to spend a few minutes really exploring what your core strengths. And I know you already answered them. But here's the thing, guys. Sometimes we think just because we are good at doing something, it is not our strength. It is our strength. But let me tell you this, unless it gives you passion, joy, curiosity, unless you feel energized, that is not your strength. Okay, your strength are the thing that makes you feel alive. So I do this exercise in so many of the like events when I speak, you know, spoken on many stages all over the world. And this exercise really gives people so much clarity when you actually have it on a piece of paper. And I don't want to give it to you as a takeaway homework, because I know some of you may never get there. And it's just so, so important to do that. So what I thought we're going to do is going to take 3 minutes literally to do that. And I'll explain to you how it works now. And then while you're doing it, I'm also going to put some nice music, if Canva allows me, just for you to relax and really connect to your body and get out of your head. This is not an overthinking exercise. It's more of a feeling exercise. So create 3 columns on, you've got a pen and paper, I hope. So write 3 columns. On a column 1, in column 1, I want you to write all the things that you are excited about, right? It doesn't need to be work related. So don't think about what if I'm an accountant, do I like spreadsheets or not. It's got nothing to do with it. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's singing. If it's work related, perfect. It doesn't matter what. Don't overthinking. And also don't forget to put your character traits. Maybe people come to you because they just feel so comfortable in your company. Maybe, you know, you're extremely resilient. Maybe you like confidence, whatever those character traits are, put everything down, something that comes natural to you. Okay. So in column 2, then, what I would like for you to do is also put down all of these things that you can do and you maybe do well, but they don't really give you that energy and enthusiasm. They're like, okay, you know, like you don't mind doing them. So for me, it's admin. Like I don't really like it, but I don't hate it. And then in column 3, what I would like for you to do is to put down all the things that drain you. Like if you never had to do them again, that will be perfect. All right. Is that clear, guys? Let me know 1 in the chat if that's clear. Okay. Perfect. So I'm just going to pause this and you have 3 minutes. Okay. Don't overthink it. Whatever comes in, just go for it. I'm just going to put some music on.
Or you're going to sing. Leonard's not finding it amusing.
Can you hear? Can you hear music?
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay, guys, I know some of you were saying that it's pretty hard, and I've got to agree with you. You see, isn't it interesting how something so natural is so hard for us, because we never really take the time to self-reflect and to really ask ourselves, what would I love? What would light me up? Right? We're just so caught up in our heads. And it's fine, you know, this is just like a little example. And I'm going to talk you through part number 2, and you may find it even harder. But we are here to challenge you. This is not just like kind of a wake up, you know, easy thing. You've got to really dig inside of you. And we'll just encourage you also to take it home and maybe go deeper with it. So did anyone completely was drawing blank? Is there somebody who didn't come up with anything in any columns? Let me know. Hopefully you've got something in each column, even if it's a 1 or 2 thing. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat, so that's a good news. So what I would like for you guys to do now, what I want you to do is look at column 1, and without overthinking, pick 1 or 2 items that you can add into your daily life, ideally into your daily life, or as regularly as possible. Now, if you're thinking, my God, I have no time to even eat a sandwich, don't worry about it. I will explain in a minute how that works. Okay, so tick 1, 2, and don't overthink it. In column 2, what I would like for you to do is to tick 1 to 2 things that you can either outsource or swap with someone else. So here's the thing. You see, what we often do is we think that just because you don't like doing something, nobody else does. But that's the biggest misconception. So I'll give you an example. I used to contract to Morgan Stanley a year and a half ago, and me and my colleague were working on a project, and I was working American hours, and I was giving documentation. Documentation is in my 3rd column. If there was 5 columns, it would probably be in a column number 10. I really don't like technical documentation. While she was given Power BI dashboards, and both of us were completely exhausted by 7 o'clock at night. Our productivity was down, the quality of work wasn't great. And then we had this idea, why don't we swap? Well, needless to say, we had way more energy, the quality went up, the team dynamic improved. And this is just the one simple example, right? I bet you can at least find 1 or 2 things in column 2 with who you can swap or outsource it to. Okay, does that make sense? Effie, can you just look at comments, because I just don't want to click onto anything.
Yeah, I'm on it. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
all right, if it's very confusing, guys, just let me know. Effie will tell me, and I will talk through this again. So 1 to 2 items in column 1 to add to your day, 1 to 2 things in column 2, outsource, swap. Here's the thing. I don't want you to do anything with number 3. But here's what happens, and this is proven. This is exercise. I've been running it for years, obviously in my life, and many, many, many clients all over the world. Things in column 3 will naturally start leaving your life. And it's not magic, because remember how I said earlier, everything responds to your energy. So imagine if you're now level energy 3 here, you're going to have level energy 3 and 2 in there swimming around. As soon as you're going to start acting on things that are in your column 1, your energy will start raising, right? Because you're feeling more excited, more passionate. Remember, emotion is energy in motion. Your energy goes up. And again, everything in your life responds to your energy. So things that are not vibrating, that are not in resonance with your new level of energy, they will naturally leave your life. Here's how it can happen. You will start becoming more aware. Remember, energy and awareness, the same thing. You go, hang on a second. Why am I doing this thing? You know how many times that happens? So I was coaching people at Morgan Stanley, because they would come to me and they say to me, Lena, I'm going to like 10 meetings a day. I'm adding no value. I'm receiving no value. I'm exhausted. I have no hours in my day to do my work. And my question was like, well, if you're adding no value, you're receiving no value, why do you go? It's on my schedule. All right, well, great. Right, so only by doing this exercise, after about a couple of weeks or so, they actually began to realize it wasn't productive at all. So they abandoned the meetings. They started putting that energy into their work, into themselves. It completely transformed their lives. They had better, obviously, quality of work, and also they were feeling better about themselves. Okay, so I want you to play with it, guys. Literally go deeper into it, dig deeper. It's all within you. What I love doing, what gives me passion, what can I do more of my life that raises my energy? What can I give away? What can I outsource to someone else? And see how things in column 3 will naturally leave your life. The whole point of this exercise is to start for you generating more energy, to become more aware to opportunities, to possibilities, to ideas that you never would have even thought of when you were running around and draining your things, doing things that are simply out of alignment with your life's path. Okay, so please go deeper into that. I hope that was clear. And as I said, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, so then you can ask us any questions. So the next key is human design. You know, it's one of my favorite modalities. As I mentioned, like I went into metaphysics, I mean, neurolinguistic programming, all of the modalities I played with, and it wasn't until human design that literally my whole life began to change. So I'm going to pass you over to Effie for the next key.
So thank you, Lena. Okay, so we'll be coming out of strengths and going into the second key. And I mentioned at the beginning that human design is something that fell across my desk 6 years ago. And it's a really interesting one because it's something I think that's gaining popularity quickly at the moment. So you may see a number of different people talking about it in different ways. And the reason for that is because it's a really interesting system. It's sometimes referred to as the science of differentiation, and it's made up of quantum physics, epigenetics. So it deals a lot with, you know, energy and how we express our energy, how we use our energy to interact with the world. But it's also completely built from ancient wisdoms. So the Indian chakra system, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, and Western astrology. And unlike some of the tools that we've used, say in our work, in our careers, like Myers-Briggs, disc profiling, things like that, what human design does is it actually shows us who we are. And it gives us, you know, an understanding and the tools to be able to kind of really tap into the innate gifts that we hold, understanding, you know, our personality profiles and all sorts of wonderful things. So if Lena doesn't mind just taking me to the next slide, I just want to show you something. As it comes up, and I know a few of you have already kindly run your chart on my website, what I'm going to do is just very quickly pop this link into the chat for you. And it's free. You can just go to my website and generate your chart. And it will ask for your time of birth, date of birth, and your place of birth. And then what it will do is it'll come back with this very funny looking diagram. So how many of you have seen this before? Just let me know. And let me know if you haven't. And you can see, you know, it's quite an interesting one because it actually holds an awful lot of information. So if you look at the coloured columns on either side, so Lena, do you mind just moving your mouse over those for me, just the coloured columns? Within all of that information, it will tell us things like what our purpose is, so who we be in the world. It will tell us how we ground ourselves, how we best communicate, what we're here to learn about relationships, what we're here to learn about our blessings, our abundance, you know, things like that. It's going to also tell us what our life lessons are in the first half of our life, so 0 to 39 years, and then 40 years plus. So it's really, really fascinating. And, you know, it takes a little bit of work to go through it and understand it. And I'm kind of on a bit of a mission at the moment to try and simplify this because I just think it's such valuable information for people to be able to hold. The different shapes that you see, so for the moment, just ignore if they're coloured or not, but the different shapes tell you different parts of the body. So this is where the Indian chakra system comes up. But rather than seven chakra points, we actually have 9 centres. So the triangle at the top is your head. This then goes down to the mind, which then goes down to the throat. So this is how we communicate. The diamond that you see in the middle is all about your identity. So this is a really interesting one because we often find that if people aren't quite sure who they are and they spend pretty much a lot of their life experience trying to figure this out, often that shape is white. And then you've also got the square underneath, which is your sacral, so that holds your life force and your workforce energy. And that tells us things like, do you actually hold consistent energy within you to be able to do? Or do you need periods of rest? So it holds a lot of really interesting information about that. And then the bottom square, the square at the bottom is all about your root. This is the pressure center. So it's all about doing. And then to the left, we've got our spleen, which is all about intuition, but it also holds our fears. And then to the right, you've got like your little tiny diamond, which is your will. Now, this is really interesting because the will, only 21% of the population have that will center colored in. And the reason that's so important is because if you have that will center colored in, that center is all about self-worth. It's all about resources. So for example, if you're in business or anything like that, you know, you're going to know who you are, you're going to know your self-worth, you're going to be able to price your services, your products, anything like that, and not really worry about it. I know, because this is my chart and mine's coloured in. But then I also see people where it's white. So if you think 21% of people of our population know their self-worth, it's like it's part of their identity, it's completely ingrained within them. There actually is 80% of the population where that isn't the case. So you start to kind of like, when you start to see this and learn more of this, you start to realize that actually, you know, there's a reason why when we all come together in a beautiful way, that we all hold a piece of the puzzle. And when those pieces all come together, we're able to then express the highest expression of who we are. And then you also have this other little triangle that's just underneath the wheel. I don't know if you can just move your mouse over it for me. This is your emotional solar plexus. So this is your emotions. So this one's completely white. There's no color in it. And that's mine. And that's all about being very empathetic. You have, you know, I can read a room. I'm very intuitive. And for me, that also means that I can feel an awful lot of things. And then you have quite a large percentage of the population that actually have that defined. So they are meant to experience emotional wave. They're meant to experience the highs of the emotions, and they're meant to experience the lows of emotions. And they're meant to actually master the rhythm of those emotions and the rhythm of that wave. So it's really, you know, quite fascinating. Within this blueprint as well, you know, there's also things like your profile. So for example, I'm a 4/6. The 4 is how I see myself. The 6 is how others see me. The 4 is all about community. It's all about people. The 6 is all about kind of knowledge and experience. And people tend to come to me with lots of questions about things that I might know. You know, if I look at someone like my husband, he is a 4 too. The 4 again is all about his people. Okay. But the 2 is all about being a hermit. And I cannot get this man out of the house, right? He really, really likes his own time. He has an environment within his human design blueprint, which is all about caves. So he quite likes the dark, dingy spaces. So if you go into his, like where his room is, this is my office, you can see it's very bright. But his is very, very dingy, very, very dark. He's got records everywhere. And every now and then his people need to call him out of that space, because otherwise he would never interact with the world. And it's really interesting because having read so many of these wonderful blueprints, not only for adults, but also for children, I've looked at it across teams, I've looked at it across relationships, I've compared charts, I've looked at individual charts. You know, sometimes I'm just looking at a human design chart just to answer a question someone might have. And purpose tends to be one of those big questions. And what this chart gives people, when you're able to really understand it and you're able to kind of really look at even the tiny little numbers within the shapes, those little numbers are gifts. Every single one of those 64 numbers represents a particular gift. And I've never had anybody yet say to me, no, that doesn't sound like me. And if they do, as an instant reaction, what happens is they go away, then they come back, and then they say, actually, upon reflection, yeah, it does feel a bit like me, but maybe I haven't really been showing up as my full self. So it's a really interesting one, you know. It can answer many, many different questions, and there's lots of shapes, lots of different symbols. And fun fact, if you take the chart and you turn it upside down, it actually looks like the Kabbalah tree of life. So it's quite, you know, you can see where all the different kind of modalities come into it. So if Lena doesn't mind just going on to the next slide for me. Now, with this particular slide, I wanted to find a way to see the little blueprint in the middle, the little body graph. You can see that there's like light that emanates from that. And that's really my way of just trying to say, look, you know, we're made up of 99 point, I think Len said it was like 99 point, almost 9% energy, right? And within human design, we have 5 energy types, and those energy types really give us a lot of information about how we interact with the world around us. But if you think for a moment about your energy, about what we call our aura, the auric field matures when we are 7 years old. And from that point onwards, it carries a lot of the imprints and things that have been going on around us as we were growing up, right? And it continues to mature and it continues to kind of interact. And if you look at the space around you, your energetic field, so your aura, extends up to 4 foot around you. So that's about half a room. So anybody who enters into that space, so whether you're at a supermarket, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're with your teams, anything like that, as soon as anybody enters into that space, your energy starts to interact with them. but you're never really aware. But what you do is you get a sense. And for some people, that could be a sense of smell. They might smell that something's not quite right. For some people, it could be a feeling. They might feel that this is a really good like environment, or this is a really good vibe. And for some people, it might just be like an intuitive sense, right? It's kind of like, well, I'm not quite sure that person's my person. And I'm pretty sure if I ask anybody on this group today, you all probably had an experience like that, and you can't really explain why, you just know, right? So just have a think about that and just let me know if that's the case. A really funny example of this is food shopping for me. I was telling Lena this story. For years and years, I love food shopping. I'm Greek, I'm a foodie, right? So I like to go food shopping. And when I go into a supermarket, I'm really excited. I just really like it. My husband does not understand it. He cannot stand food shopping. And I'm there for ages. But every single time, without fail, when I leave the supermarket, I am literally exhausted. I feel like I've burnt out. And often I'll just talk to anybody. People come up to me in supermarkets, will talk to me. And that's my 4 profile, right? Where I'm literally attracting people to me. So it's really interesting. You know, I'll have people standing in a queue and just show me photos of like their grandchildren or their children. And my husband's like, what's going on? Do you know them? I'm like, no. And it's literally because my aura is like completely turned on. My light is shining and people just find that's attractive. So they'll just come into my space and talk to me. But when I leave, I am exhausted. And for years and years, I kept buying sugar items like a chocolate bar or something, and I'd eat it in the car because I was like, quick, I need something. I need an adrenaline boost. And it's literally because the moment I walk into that supermarket with all of those people around me, my aura is very, very penetrating. And as a result, it's trying to read everybody really quickly. It's trying to pick up on patterns. It's trying to assess who these people are. It's trying to keep me away from those that maybe won't serve me, you know, and actually draws me towards those who might need, you know, something that I might have to offer. So it's really interesting. And when I learned about human design, it was like, okay, I need to be really aware that when I walk into a really busy space that this might happen. And so I need to have rest moments. I need to kind of walk out. I need to find an aisle that's got hardly anyone down it. I need to just stop for a moment and then carry on. And, you know, I've seen it with my daughter. My daughter has a very similar energy type with me as well. And I see it with school. She gets really, really busy with school. She'll come home and then she'll work really hard. But when it comes to the weekend, no one can get her out of her bedroom. And it's not because there's something wrong there. It's not because she's disengaged. It's because she is literally resting. So on the next slide, I just want to take a moment to explain about the 5 energy types. And what I will say is that if you know nothing else about human design, or you don't want to find anything else about human design, understanding your energy type will give you so much information. So Lena, are you able to click onto the next slide? Is it working?
I'm trying. No.
All right, I'll just carry on talking.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, carry on talking, you know, I'm getting there.
So while Lena's just doing it, just very quickly, so the link, Annie, should be in the chat. I've just pasted it there. Emma, it does matter if you know your time of birth, don't know your time of birth, but what we can do is run a couple of charts and then just have a look at it and then just see which one is more like you. But you'll need to know that there might be some small nuances, but just give it a go. Run it at like midday and midnight. Just give me those 2 charts and then I can have a look for you. Oh, Jackie, I'm sorry that you couldn't see the image, but I'm just going to keep talking because literally the next slide is just information. So I can give that to you anyway. So with human design, there are 5 energy types, okay? And I know that some of you have already created your chart. So thank you for doing that because you got the email from Lena. We actually have a lot of generators in this call, which is really interesting because generators and manifesting generators are our doers of the world. And 70% of the population are made up of manifesting generators and generators. Now, what's really fun about that is that if you were to split it, you've got generators around 37% and the manifesting generators around a similar amount. Now, the difference between the two is that with a generator, their energy is all about joy. They have to do things that they love. And if they don't do things that they love, their energy becomes depleted and they will burn out. So imagine that, realizing that actually, if I don't do something I love, if I don't give myself permission to do something that brings me absolute joy, and it's something that I can tap into, I can burn out. And the manifesting generator, which is a brilliant energy type, because I keep talking about my husband tonight, but it's only because he's a brilliant example of a man gen. But a manifesting generator is somebody who likes to do lots of different things. So if you ever come across yourself, or maybe somebody you know who just really multi-passionate, they need to do lots of different things. And when they do lots of different things and they tap into different passion projects and different experiences, you know, it really lights them up. But what happens is that as a society, we've been conditioned to tell people just concentrate on one thing. Why do you keep flitting around and choosing and doing lots of different things? Why don't you just stop and concentrate on one thing? And now imagine if you have a manifesting generator child, right? Somebody who actually needs to express their energy in a multi-passionate way, multidisciplinary way, right? And suddenly we're saying to them, just concentrate on one thing. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to burn out. And so when you look at especially the generator and the manifesting generator type, what happens is that when you are fully aligned and you're doing something as a generator that brings you joy, or as a manifesting generator, you're doing something that excites you, that you'll feel passionate about, and you're trying lots of different things, right? And it almost doesn't matter if you don't always complete them. Sometimes you won't as a manifesting generator. Sometimes you'll put things down and actually won't come back to them, and that's okay because you've squeezed everything you needed out of it. And the other thing about a manifesting generator to know as well is that you want to reach the end goal as quickly as possible. So it's a bit like, say you're building IKEA furniture, right? We all know how bad those instructions are, right? The manifesting generator is going to chuck the instructions in the bin. They're going to try and do it themselves. And then they're going to make a ton of mistakes trying to get it done. And then they're going to get frustrated on the way. And that frustration might look like impatience. And it's simply because something has interrupted their energy flow and stop them from achieving the thing that they want to achieve, right? So for example, I've seen some mangens where they could be in the car, just something as simple as the car. They're trying to get to somewhere they want to get. And then goodness, you know, God forbid, another car pulls out on the road because, you know, other cars aren't meant to be on the road to a mangen, and they get in their way. And then suddenly they get really, really impatient and they just get really frustrated. So when you are aligned and you're doing something that you love, both generators and manifesting generators will feel satisfaction. It's as easy, as simple as that. That's what you align to. Do I feel satisfied with this or not? If you're not, you'll feel frustrated. And for some, that might come out as impatience. Okay, so that's two. You then also got the manifestors, and manifestors are about 9% of our population. And manifestors is a really interesting energy because they are powerhouses. They are very, very independent. You cannot tell a manifestor what to do. It's like, this is what we're going to do. This is my vision, and you're all coming along with me, and off they go. And the manifestor is the only energy type that does not need to wait to respond to something or be invited to share their thoughts. They don't need to spend time to think about things. The manifestor will just initiate. I'm going to do this and I'm going to go. And that's because we need the manifestors to do that. We need manifestors to be able to create the communities, to be able to kind of create the movements so that the rest of us can either build as a generator, guide as a projector, or follow, right? And so it's really interesting because I've also seen with manifestors that, you know, if they're not fully aligned, they will get angry. And you don't want to be in the path of an angry manifestor. And the fun thing about this story as well is that my dearest friend, he's got two little girls. They're now 2.5. And I reluctantly, and I do say reluctantly, read their charts when they were born. It was my gift to their parents. I say reluctantly because auras develop when they're 7, and the last thing I want to do is give somebody a blueprint and then think that this is how they must raise their child. The beautiful thing about human design is that it gives you lots and lots of information, but it's down to you how you express it. Because how you express it is going to depend on your life experience, the knowledge that you have, the people you have around you. It's down to you to experiment with it. And so watching these two little girls who are manifestors be very independent, very feisty, challenging their parents, and I'm watching them grow up. And every now and then I get a message that says, yep, you're right. And I'm like, good luck with that. Because they're literally on their own journey. And that's exactly, you know, how manifestors are. Now, the other two types we're left with is a projector, which is 20% of the population. I'm actually a projector, and a projector is really, really an interesting energy type because projectors need a lot of rest. So if we are surrounded by manifesting generators or generators, it looks like we're a bit lazy because we like to probably go to bed early. We like to maybe have times in our day where we just need to step away and rest, which sometimes means that something as typical as a 9 to 5 doesn't always work for a projector because they can't be switched on all of the time. Projectors are really interesting because they guide and they're really, really like efficient, and they see efficiency in systems and things. So it's no surprise to me that human design is a system that I've chosen that's been attracted to me and that I love, because as a projector, you love systems, right? And you want to be able to share them. The challenge with a projector is that because you hold such valuable information that the other energy types need in order to be able to go on and do the things that they need to do, you only really share it when you're invited. Because if you don't wait until you're invited, you literally could talk until the cows come home, but you won't be heard. The person on the other end won't be open to receive it. And I've seen that over and over. And it's really interesting as well, because we're now seeing, like, as the generations coming through, that more and more manifestor and projector children are actually being born versus the generator type children that were being born in previous generations. And that's simply because before, generationally, we were taught the more you do, the more you have. But actually now it's shifting who you be, how you use your energy effectively, how you get to know who you are, tap into your gifts, and how aligned you are is actually creates your abundance, your success, the things that you want in your life. So it's a really interesting energy type. And then the last one is reflector. Reflectors are 1% of the population. This always makes me smile, because whenever I say to somebody, can you guess your energy type? They'll always say, well, I must be one of the 1%. We're all special. You don't all need to be part of the 1%. But the reflector is very much literally what its name says. A reflector literally will reflect back to you what your environment is telling you, sometimes what's going on with you. It is absolutely awe-inspiring to be in the company of a reflector. I met somebody online, literally in a group about a month ago, and I discovered that we had the same kind of purpose configuration within our human design, but I'm a projector and she's a reflector. And I was really curious. I was wondering about, like, female empowerment. I was thinking about business. I was thinking about this masterclass, lots of things like that. And she reached out to me and connected. And it was just, she's just such a calm, peaceful, unbelievable lady, also on her own mission of kind of empowering women. And then she just turned around and she said to me, you need to actually create a business course. And I just sat there and I was just like, how did you even know that? She was literally reflecting back to me what I was thinking at that time. Absolutely amazing to be in reflector energy. But the interesting thing about a reflector is they will try on lots of different identities, a bit like trying on some clothes, right? You try on different identities. You might find that they kind of change their environments, change their people, until they find the environments that are right for them, until they find their people. And then you'll also find with reflectors as well that they're not able to make quick decisions. They literally need to allow, it's about 28-day kind of cycle where they kind of have to go through this wave of thinking about things, contemplating things in order to be able to create a decision. So now if you think about this in a work environment, in a relationship, in parenting, anything like that, if you have a mixture of all of these energy types and we aren't aware of that, think of the friction that that could create. But also now think that if you do know that and you are aware of these things, you know that it can actually create harmony. So for example, if you have a family that's got generator type parents who do and go, but their children are manifestor or projector and they need rests, because projectors and manifestors can get done pretty much in a short space of time what takes others, but the rest of the time they'll just rest. It may look like their kids are lazy. Now think of it in a team, that kind of team dynamic, right? Where maybe you ask the projector to do, rather than allow them to actually express their gifts as a guide and to be able to kind of share their vision. Manifestor could share their vision. If you get them to do, they're going to burn out. You will not get the best out of them. So it's so what I've done is I've put the link into the chat if you want to go and have a look. As I was saying to Emma, if you don't know your time of birth, just run a chart for like different times, and then just have a look. And just even if all you do is just have a look at your energy type, you're very welcome to ping me and let me know what your energy type is. You can reach me kind of on LinkedIn or Messenger or anything like that. And then just let me know your energy type and I can have a look at that for you. The last slide that really Len is sharing at the moment is just kind of the different ways with human design. So there are many different specialists that are coming to the forefront now. Some are specializing in career, in teams, leadership. Some are specializing in relationships, some in parenting, and there's some in purpose. And this is why one of the reasons we chose human design for this masterclass is because we were talking about clarity of purpose. So what I'm going to do is actually, because I'm conscious of time, I'm actually going to pause what I'm going to now say and just pass on to Leonard to talk about alignments, because I think it's really important that we get through the third key.
Cool. That was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, Effie, for going into details. I mean, human design is such a big system, guys, and it completely transformed my life. I had one business where I was burnt out to the point where I couldn't even remember how to type, because it was so misaligned with who I truly am, with my identity, with my strengths, with my interests, with my energy type. And that's when I stumbled across human design. And I went from being burnt out with one business to having 2 full-time businesses, 1 full-time job, and having more free time for myself than ever before. It was a game changer. Anyway, the third key we're going to share with you today is called alignment. And alignment, imagine it's like a glue that literally binds your values, your strengths, your passions, your decisions, all aspects of your life into a whole. And it enables you really to navigate this journey with more clarity, with more precision, to see what paths align with you, which not. Just think how much of your day you spend doing things that are not meant for you, how much time, how much energy you waste going down this rabbit holes. And then you go, oh, well, that was a waste of time. You know, one of my earlier mentors, her name is Regan Healy. She's a well-known global speaker and a mentor and a coach. I remember working with her, and she was juggling 11 businesses, guys, 11. And she had a really small team, maybe 2 or 3 people. And this woman had more free time than a person with a 1 full-time job. Why? Because every decision she made, every step she took was in a full alignment with her vision. She didn't go left, she didn't go right, and she certainly never looked back. The challenge is why it's so hard to get into alignment is because we rely so much on our logical mind to make decisions, right? But here's the thing about the logic. The logic is rooted in a past. It can only make decisions based on a past. It doesn't know what will happen. It only knows what happened, right? It needs proof, it needs evidence, it needs data. And of course, there is a place for logic. But now imagine you now trying to find out, like, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do with my life? What is my path in this life? You've got no evidence. You've got no history of that. It's a completely new thing to you. There is no proof. There is no data. So when you're trying to figure it out with this, I call with the monkey minds, it's going to cause overthinking, analysis by paralysis, and miss out on the bigger picture. And that's why people end up going in circles over and over, trying this, trying this, trying this. And it's just getting you more and more frustrated, right? So the alignment really, guys, comes from connecting to the deeper part of you, to the part of you that's always guiding you, always speaking to you. But the question is, are you listening? Are you listening, right? It's that voice of intuition, and so easily to be missed. It's about trusting that feeling. Remember how we were doing the strength process? I'm like, yeah, it is hard because you're trying to use your logical mind rather than more feeling. What would feel good? What would light me up? What will bring me joy and passion and excitement? That's how you start tapping into your intuition. And you know, some of the world's greatest minds attributed their success to their intuition. Steve Jobs is one of them. He says, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you are truly meant to become. Everything else is secondary. So let me quickly ask you a question before I explain a little bit more about what intuition. Has it ever happened to you where you needed to make a decision? Maybe it was buying a house or quitting a job or climbing up a career ladder, where the facts, the data didn't really add up. You know, you had this like ambiguous feedback, but something within you knew what needed to be done, and you trusted that knowing, and it was the best decision you've ever made. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Has that ever happened to anyone? Right? Where you just trusted yourself despite the outside noise. Yeah. Right? And then what happens when you don't trust that? Do you ever go back and you kick yourself? You're like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. So in both these cases, it's your intuition talking to you, and ignoring it can be very, very costly, especially when it comes to finding that fulfillment and passion in life, right? We too often don't trust ourselves. We don't trust the things that light us up, or we make excuses, not the right time. Or, you know, like I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this. And then we delay. What cost? It costs expense. Our soul is screaming to us to wake up, to feel rather than to think. So what is actually, guys, intuition? Intuition is imagined as like a bridge. It's a bridge between your logical, your conscious mind, and your subconscious minds. Your conscious mind is where your logic lives, right? While your subconscious mind is like a memory bank with all of the experiences, with all of the knowledge, information, everything you've learned, you witnessed from the time you were born. So, and according to science, we only really use 5% of our brain activity, right? Only 5% we are logical, we're conscious. 95% operate on a subconscious level. So that means that when we're only making logical decisions, we're only operating at 5% of our faculties. 95% we don't even tap into, right? And when you start tapping, when you learn how to really access your subconscious mind, not only you get access to all of this information that is within you already, but access is also instant, because the research has shown that the subconscious mind processes data 27,500 times faster than a conscious mind is. And that's why you can make decisions without analysis by paralysis. It bypasses the slow, logical, analytical mind. And I mean, the benefits of intuition are countless. It's creative thinking, it's being more aware to opportunities, to ideas, to different possibilities, becoming more creative, and obviously making more decisions, right? The good news, guys, is that we are already intuitive. There is nothing really to learn. But here's the thing, unlearning is required. And from a personal journey, speaking as somebody who was a computer programmer, super logical, sometimes unlearning can be harder than learning a new thing. But I promise you, when you start tapping into it, it's like your entire world changes. I'll quickly share with you a story before passing to Effie. When I was contracting to, I think it was Morgan Stanley, one of my biggest clients, my team and I were circling around this problem for about a month. We didn't know what to do. We've Googled, we've researched everything. And then one day I went like, hang on a second, I teach people how to use intuition for living. What am I doing? I think I just got caught up in that frenzy. So I shut my laptop, I sat down and I asked the question in my head, show me the best answer. And then I listened. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time in silence on the couch trying to really get these answers that come from me rather than the outside noise. And the answer came immediately, go for a walk. And I looked outside and it was pouring with rain. But the pull, that nudge to go for a walk was so strong. And I don't really like walking that much, to be honest, like not by myself, especially in the rain. So I put my wellies, my boots on, and I went outside. And there is a canal just outside my house. Within 3 minutes, guys, I had 1, 2, 3 answers come to me. And the way I knew they were the right answers is by how I felt. It was that expansion. I'm like, yes, that's it. So I still remember because I had like a meeting very shortly. So I ran back to my house. I jumped on a Zoom call, on a meeting, whatever. I can't remember what we used. Called my team. I'm like, guys, this is the solution. And I gave them 3 possible answers. And I still remember they looked at me like, how did you figure that out? I'm like, I sat on the couch and I went for a walk. Right? I mean, they were quite used to my unconventional ways of working. But guys, this is like one of the very few examples when intuition can be powerful. So not it's only powerful like for buying houses, relationship, big things, but even for like making decisions, you know, on a day-to-day basis at your job, at your work. So don't overestimate the power of that inner voice. So one thing I do want to add before I pass over to F is that intuition is the language of the body, right? The mind is the language. I mean, the logical thinking is the language of the mind. This is a language of the body. And how we experience intuition is very different to all of us. So usually people say, trust your guts. But it's not completely true. Some of us, yes, me, for example, for me, it's all in my gut. It's like a pull towards something. But for some people, their gut will only rumble when they're hungry. Like for my daughter, she doesn't have a connection. So Effie is going to take you back into the world of human design now and share a little bit more how you may be experiencing your intuition before we take you through a little process.
Amazing. Thank you, Lena. So firstly, thank you to everyone who's still with us. We've gone slightly over, so I hope that's okay. But promise, just stick with us because we've got a really nice guided experience coming after this bit as well. So Lena's right. When you look at your energy type, there are lots of other pieces of information that you are given. Now, one of there are a couple that are pretty important. So first is your strategy. So this is how you receive information, basically, and how you respond. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, with a projector, projectors need to wait to be invited. Generators, manifesting generators, they respond. They like questions so that they can then respond to those questions. And often you'll find with generators and manifesting generators as well, that sometimes they'll think that they want something and it will just, lots of options will appear for them in their lives, and it's up to them to then make the right decision for them in order to be able to respond. So I'm not going to talk about strategy today because actually that will take a little bit more time. But what we're going to do is focus on what we call authority. And this is very much the language of the body. And it's an interesting one because when you say to people sometimes, well, just trust your intuition, sometimes a normal response to that is, well, what is my intuition? How do I feel it? Because everybody can feel it very, very differently. So with this slide that you see at the moment, what I've done is I've actually put down the different ways that you could experience that feeling depending on your energy type. So for example, generators. As a generator, you tend to have a sacral authority, emotional, or splenic. And what I'm going to do is just pick a couple of the popular ones, and I'm just going to talk about it today. And of course, if I talk about something that you see you have and you're not sure what that is, and just please reach out and let me know. So the first one's sacral. So I think, Lena, you're sacral, right? Your authority is sacral, is that right? Yeah. So sacral is all about the gut. And this is where, you know, sometimes people just say, I feel it in my gut, right? But the interesting thing about the sacral is that it actually has a sound, and we've been kind of conditioned to not use it from a very young age. So really with the sacral, it actually speaks. So the sound is aha for yes and for no. And what we sometimes have to do with people who have generator energy types is that we have to kind of do this work where literally we throw 1,000 questions at you and start kind of getting you to tune into your sacral sound. And, you know, it's something that's really important with generator children, because often we ask them not to use it, and then they don't quite know what they're feeling in their gut. They can't really describe it. But sacral really comes from there, comes from within your gut. An emotional authority is a really interesting one because this is actually what we call the emotional wave. There are different ways to experience the emotional wave, but for the moment, just think of it as kind of up, down, up, down. And with an emotional authority, if you're trying to make a decision about something, you may not know the decision in the moment. You need to allow yourself time. So you may have to sleep on it. You may need to think about it, right? And the key here is with emotional authority is that there's no truth in the now, right? Whereas with some authorities like the sacral, you'll get an instant response in your gut. With the splenic authority, which is an ancient authority, right? That's all about intuition in the moment. It's like a nudge, or as I have it now, it kind of has become a bit of a tingle. I don't get nudges anymore, I get tingles. But it kind of comes and then goes as quickly as it came, right? So you have to be really tuned in to kind of knowing what your authority is so you can recognize a feeling in your body. But with an emotional authority, you may not have that instant reaction in the moment. So sometimes if someone talks to you about intuition or a gut response and you think, well, actually, I don't get really a gut response, or I'm not necessarily someone who gets that intuitive kind of tingle in the moment, that's okay. You may have a different authority. And so with an emotional authority, the key here is to kind of go, if you're trying to make a decision about something and your thought about that decision is constant and it stays the same, no matter if you're feeling happy or sad or in between, then that's the right answer for you. But if the answer to the decision that you are trying to make changes depending on your mood, then the answer is no, right? And I think with emotional authority, one of the things I encourage people to do is actually to spend some time noting each day how you're feeling. So even if you just draw a little emoji each day, you don't have to necessarily use words. What will happen is over a couple of weeks, you'll start to see a pattern. And it gives people a lot of comfort, especially because emotional authority can be quite frustrating. You know, I have friends who've got emotional authorities, and one of the things that they say to me is like, why do I have to feel everything so deeply? Why can't I just make a decision like quickly? Why do I have to spend time on this? You know, and it's because their gift, or the gifts that they are here to share, are found in the expression of that emotional authority. And the other one that I'm just very quickly going to mention, because it's slightly different, and I wanted to give you an idea of kind of how these different authorities work, is a mental authority. So a mental authority is actually only available to 2 to 3% of the population and can only be found in projector types. And again, with a mental authority, it isn't an in-the-moment response. A mental authority is where you need to talk something out, but you're not talking it out to get somebody's permission or to get really their thoughts. You actually are just in the act of talking it out, you're coming to a decision. So the expression, the words, everything that you are doing, you are working through it. And as you talk, you'll literally go, oh, I know. Thanks very much for being a pair of ears. That was great. Right. And it's a really, really powerful authority. So I'd love to spend some time going through more of this with you, but really I hope that just gives you a really kind of quick summary of the different ways that we can actually understand our alignment, right? Understand how we can trust the decisions. And as Lena said, they come from within our body. We're so conditioned to use the mind, but here's an interesting thing. The mind is actually only here really to help us help other people. Our body intelligence, how our body responds to things, is actually how we help ourselves. But we've spent so long kind of using our mind to solve things, and half the reason that we get into a bit of a conundrum or overwhelmed or anxious, or all of those things, is because we're trying to use the mind to do something it's actually not designed to do. So with the mind, again, it's meant to actually help you help other people. Your body intelligence, this incredible body that you're in, has got everything it needs to help you make decisions on a day-to-day basis, which then means that actually in turn, that is where you gain your clarity from. So that's why I talk about purpose and how you be in the world and tapping into kind of your innate gifts, because actually they live within you. So what we're going to now do is just go through a guided experience for the next 3 minutes. What we'd like to do is just have you play with your intuition. So again, just ask your mind to kind of go away. You can literally say that to your mind, by the way. You can literally say to your mind, you know what, just for the moment, give it a rest and go away, especially if it's very busy talking, because it can do that. It's very, very chatty. If you actually listen to your mind, very, very chatty. So just give it a minute. Just ask it to kind of just say, for the minute, I'm just going to rest. I just need to just concentrate on this for the next 3 minutes. And just think about something that maybe you're looking for an answer for. Maybe something that you're looking for clarity around. Just something, it could be light, just something light for the moment of this for this purpose of this exercise. And then just keep bringing yourself back. If your mind keeps trying to take you somewhere else, just keep breathing through and just keep bringing yourself back and asking it, you know, thanks very much for interrupting, but just go away for the minute. Like literally just be blunt with it. And then just start coming back, and then start coming into yourself. And then as you listen to the music, you know, if you want to kind of use the chat to kind of take notes or mention anything, then please let us know. Okay, so we'll start coming back from that. So as that music was playing, was there anything that anybody wanted to share about, maybe anything that popped through for them? And it can really just happen that quickly. Or whether they actually felt a response in their body to something they were thinking about. Just let us know. And then what I'll do is I'll hand over to Lena to then go through the 3 keys.
Did we put everybody to sleep? You know, guys, this is so powerful, right? Even just having 3 minutes of your day, first thing in the morning, to really connect to your day. Because here's the thing, your day is going to unfold regardless of what you do. But you can either allow it to take over your life, to unfold it unconsciously by default, like a copy and a paste of the day before, or with intention, you can create your day. Because wherever your attention goes, your energy flows and your life responds to your energy. So even just reflecting first thing in the morning, how do I want to show up? How do I want my day to unfold? How do I want to be treated? Who do I want to be today? Right. And then at night, also just reflecting for a couple of minutes. But most importantly, in challenging times, when you don't know what to do next, when there's fog, when there is no certainty, when there's unclarity, instead of running around trying to do more, pause. Because when you physically slow down, energetically, you speed up, and energy is your highest currency. So I'm going to quickly just recap today, and then if you just give us 5 more minutes, I promise we'll let you go. And we really appreciate your time today with us. So 3 keys to help you unlock clarity of your purpose is, firstly, is strength, right? It's understanding who you are. What is it that, what gift are you here to give to the world? How can you serve in a unique way? Only you can. Nobody else, only you, with your own unique talents, your gifts, your special life force that you bring into this world. And by tapping into your strength, by really understanding what is it that makes you feel alive, you can begin to really understand, how can I be of a greater service to people? Because that's all we want, right? That's, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Human design, I mean, it's actually, human design has been called a self-awareness tool on steroids. And I tend to agree, because I've played with so many modalities over the years. And human design really helped me to understand who I truly was. Well, I mean, I'm still digging into that, but believe me, there is a big difference between who you think you are and who you truly are. And a lot of these other modalities, like, you know, the companies use, like Myers-Briggs, Disc, Strengths Finder, they show you who you think you are. It's a very logical kind of thing. But remember, only 5% of you is that conscious, logical side. But 95% of us, we don't even tap into. And that's the beauty of human design. It can really help you to understand yourself on a much deeper level, like no other tool, at least none that I'm aware of. And of course, alignment, that's what holds everything together. When you know which decision to make next, which step to take next, what is my vision, what is my path, and staying on that without looking left, right, or going back in circles. So, you know, then we all, what you need to understand, we all have a mind and a body and a soul, right? And the body must be directed by the mind, and the mind has to be directed, has to be led by our soul in order to maximize our potential, so that we can make the difference, so we can serve in only, again, unique way that we only can. But what might not be clear right now is how to get there, right? Is actually how to put all of these pieces of the puzzle together. And that's where we come in. Because today's masterclass might have sparked some curiosity, gave a little bit of clarity, and connected you to you on a deeper level before. But let's be honest, true transformation needs a little bit longer than 60 minutes. I hope you agree with me. It really requires the dedication, commitments, and guidance from someone who's walked this path before. And before I share something really exciting with you, I actually want to bring attention to this quote. I've heard it years ago, and it's always stuck with me. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond our measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us the most. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? But actually, who you're not to be that. The fact that you're here, you already know you didn't really come to play a certain role that you've been playing up until now, to be in a certain job, to be in a certain career, in a business. You came here to be the fullest expression of who you are. It's just the question is, how do I get there? And the only thing, guys, that are holding us back is the limitations that we've placed on ourselves based on our conditioning, the society, our programming, our beliefs. And this is why we are so excited to offer this masterminds that Effie and I put together for 6 weeks, where we'll help you, we'll empower you to break through this limiting beliefs and step into a whole new level of freedom and possibilities that you've never even imagined before. So the 6 weeks will help you to gain a lot more clarity of your vision and your purpose, where you start really discovering who you are on a much deeper level, create a connection to yourself, to find more meaning and fulfillment in a daily life, to begin to understand, why am I here? What is my meaning in life? How I can actually optimize my potential, right? It's all about optimizing your potential. That will help you to step into a whole new level of confidence. And, you know, human design is going to be one of the tools we're going to be using. So also, I'm going to be sharing various processes and modalities that literally help me to completely transform my life, that I've gained from my coaches, from my mentors, from the masters I worked with over the last 6 years. So, and most importantly, it's going to be also very practical, very grounded. It's not going to be just, let's just sit and meditate and just be happy. It's going to be none of that. You're going to hold you accountable. You're going to have action plans so that by the time you leave, you're actually going to have a roadmap to follow to take you further on this journey. And I mean, what better time to start this journey than now? As you enter a new year, is your new version of yourself, right? And you will go way beyond the challenges that you currently think you have. You know, when I first started, when the Dr. Joe Dispenza event I was telling you about, I went there because I thought I just needed to deal with anxiety. I never even imagined where this whole journey would take me. It's like me now and me even 2 years ago. It's a completely different person. I just feel so much freer in myself. And it's the journey to freedom, right? Freedom is not how many shoes we can buy, how many holidays. It's the freedom to be who you are, to say what you want, to know what you want, to express your needs, to express your soul's desires without worrying what other thinks of you, of, you know, think of you. Because you're the one unique expression of you. There's nobody else like that in the world, and you've got to own that. So basically how it's actually going to be run is we're going to run it over 6 live coaching calls, so teaching rather, not coaching, on Zoom. We're also going to put in 2 bonus calls, which are going to be led by you, that you can bring your questions and answers. We'll help you to find answers if you've got questions. We want to create a private community, guys, because believe me, doing something like that, really figuring yourself out without a community is impossible. I mean, I've been in enough communities, worked with enough people to really know that, because you've got to surround yourself with people who want the same thing, who are in the same journey. Friends and family are great, but sometimes they don't get us. They don't understand why I'm making 6 figures, having beautiful house, kids in private school, everything I wanted. What the hell is wrong with you? Right? Sometimes they just don't get us. And integration work is very important. What I mean by that, sometimes we absorb information, it feels good, we understand it, we like nod, we agree, and nothing changes in our lives, right? Because it's like, imagine you read something about a bicycle, but unless you actually get on the bike and you ride it, you fall off it, you get back, you ride it, only then you actually know how to ride a bike. So we're going to kick off on the 6th of November. And, you know, if you get the early bird by the 3rd of November, you also receive this blueprint reading with Effie with 495, and also one-on-one with me, where you literally have me in your back pocket. So any challenges come up, whether it's job, relationship, it doesn't matter, for me to help you shift your perspective, to find a different answer to the challenge, whatever it is that you can bring to the table. And it's either by the messenger or WhatsApp, we can figure it out. So the early bird is the 3rd of November. The entire thing closes on the 5th of November. And we guys wanted to make it so accessible for you. So the price currently stands at $249 times 2 payments. 1 payment to be taken immediately. 1 is end of the month if you're struggling with, you know, with the investments fee, or it's just going to be £449. And Effie, I don't know if you already dropped the link in the chat. If you have any questions, guys, if you want to chat more about this, you're not really clear what is going to be offered, please reach out to me and Effie and we'll talk you through it. But otherwise, I think that's all we wanted to share with you here today. I'm going to go to the Q&A session and pass it over to Effie for any questions. And also, by the way, you will receive a replay tomorrow which hopefully it's recorded with all the stoppings and starting, but I'm sure it did. And, you know, the offer is also going to be available still for the next few days. So again, thank you so much. And if you want to unmute yourselves and ask questions, please do.
Before we do, I just want to say thank you to everybody because I can see all the charts being generated. And we
That's
have a lot
awesome.
of manifesting generators and generators, which is very cool. I think we have another projector here as well. So hey, which is amazing.
You're welcome, Annie.
So yeah. So does anybody have any questions? I know we've gone over it, but thank you so much for sticking with us. Yeah, just pop them in the chat or maybe just unmute yourselves and let us know.
Yeah. And also, guys, we would really appreciate if you just did a feedback form. I don't know if you dropped the
I've
link
done
there.
it. It's there.
Yeah. So, you know, just any feedback, because when I run more of the masterclasses, you really want to find out. You're so welcome. You know, what you find's useful, things like that. So we'd really appreciate it. But thank you so much. I know we kept you like extra half an hour. So have a good night and stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's been awesome, actually.
Thanks.
Good fun.
Bye.
Good
You're
energy.
welcome.